gained 8 pounds in 2 months. All her clothes were a size 6. She decided to extend her run. Crossing the street again, she picked up the pace. By the time she reached her house, she was exhausted. She'd only added 1 mile. A few years ago, she could run 10 miles and hardly break a sweat. She leaned over and clasped her knees, then started up the sidewalk. The rain had eased up, but the weather report had predicted another front would move in by evening. She missed snow. Suzanne had grown up in Connecticut. She remembered the snowball fights in their front yard on Christmas Day, ice skating on Whitman Lake, and sledding down Black Canyon with her brothers. Sure, the constantly sunny skies were nice, but when the average temperature ranged in the 70s, she sometimes forgot what month it was, and it didn't seem like Christmas without snow. At least the rain provided some atmosphere. She laughed, thinking she should throw white sheets on the lawn and turn up the air conditioner. Seeing her neighbor's 19-year-old son pull into the driveway, she walked over to speak to him. Rap music blasted through the windows of his black Mustang. His mother had bought it for him on the condition that he only drove his motorcycle on the weekends. Franny was afraid he was going to get killed. Suzanne waited until he turned off the car's ignition, then approached him. "Is Franny home from work yet? I'm planning a surprise birthday party for my husband, and I wanted to invite your parents." "You have a phone, don't you?" Eric Rittermeyer said, getting out of the car and slamming the door. He was a tall, brooding young man with pale skin and dark eyes. He had 2 diamond stud earrings in his left nostril, a blue knit cap pulled down low over his forehead, and he wore a stained gray sweatshirt with low-slung baggy jeans. She took several steps backward, watching as he disappeared inside the house. Maybe Ted was right about having children. She could certainly live without trying to parent some arrogant, moody teen. Babies were adorable, but they didn't remain that way. You never knew if they were going to become criminals or geniuses. When she retrieved her mail from the box at the curb, several items fell to the ground. The market was in a slump. That's the way it was in the stock market, feast or famine. Everyone got used to living the high life. They might obsess about their finances, yet they seldom changed their spending habits. If you started cutting back, you felt like a failure. In this profession, confidence was essential. Reaching her front porch, she bent over and removed her key from underneath the mat. Ted had cautioned her to set the alarm and stop leaving her key where someone could find it. Old habits died hard, though, and she kept forgetting. She'd only been gone a short time. Their former house hadn't had an alarm. The type of security system they had now made it impossible to open a window without setting off the alarm. Every window and door in the house had to be locked before she could arm the system. She refused to be a prisoner in her own home. When she unlocked the door, she was greeted by her tan basset hound, Freddie. His excitement was underwhelming but cute as he tried to jump, his legs not strong enough to support his body. He ran toward the door leading to the garage, barking. "What's wrong, Freddie?" Suzanne said, clapping her hands. "Let's go upstairs, boy. Mommy's smelly. She's got to get pretty for Daddy." She walked over and adjusted one of the animated ornaments on the Christmas tree. A miniature soldier beating a drum. Inhaling the delightful scent of pine, she mentally went through her shopping list, confirming that she didn't have any last-minute gifts to purchase. She wished they had a view of the ocean instead of the foothills, but she couldn't complain. The money they'd saved had gone into improvements, like her luxuriously appointed cherry closet and the 2-story library where she spent most afternoons reading and sipping tea with Freddie curled up at her feet. Even her ulcer had finally healed. Suzanne removed her shorts and t-shirt and draped them over the laundry basket to dry, then stepped onto the cold bathroom floor. Grabbing a plush blue towel with flowers embroidered on the borders, she tossed it over the shower enclosure before she entered. The warm water cascaded over her body, the heat causing the clear glass to fog. Tonight they were going out to dinner with Ted's best friend and his new wife. She hadn't decided what she was going to wear yet, and she wanted to blow-dry her naturally curly hair. She dried off and opened the shower door. She heard Freddie barking again. Throwing on her robe, she headed downstairs and found him scratching at the door leading to the garage. When she opened it, she heard a noise near Ted's latest project. Under a car cover was a Jaguar XKE. Did they have mice again? She shrieked when someone came out of nowhere and grabbed her from behind. A forearm pressed against her throat. Struggling, she threw an elbow back in an attempt to get away. "Calm down or I'll kill you." Suzanne craned her head around, seeing a towering figure wearing a black motorcycle helmet with a mirrored eye shield. A gun was pressed against her left cheek. The assailant had her in a chokehold, clasping her left arm firmly through his leather gloves. Her heart pumped like a rabbit. She prayed it was the boy next door. "Eric?" The intruder remained silent. It couldn't be Eric, she decided. His voice was different. She couldn't be certain, though, as the person was outfitted with leather clothing. "Don't kill me," she pleaded, tears pouring out of her eyes. "I have almost $100 in my purse. Take it. Take anything you want. I won't call the police, I swear." "You think I'm a thief?" he said, pressing his arm even harder against her throat. Suzanne gasped for breath. The intruder dropped his arm and spun her around. She felt his eyes wash over her. He was going to kill her. She remembered the family that was killed not long ago. The killer was so brutal, he'd murdered a 6-month-old baby. The newspaper said he'd also decapitated his own mother. A stream of warm urine ran down her legs. Looking down at the puddle on the floor, she saw Freddie whimpering at her feet. The intruder kicked him through the open garage door, then closed and locked it. She remembered a self-defense tactic and locked her fingers on his arm, then dropped her body weight to the ground to break his grip. His arm felt like steel. He looked down at her and laughed. Suzanne's teeth were chattering. She bit the inside of her mouth, tasting the salty blood. "Help me!" she screamed, hoping someone would hear her. "Call the police!" The assailant used the end of the gun, moving her robe aside in order to expose her naked body. Her stomach muscles twitched as she recoiled in terror. "Take me to your bedroom," he said. Suzanne climbed the stairs, the gun pressing against her back. Why hadn't she set the alarm? When they reached the master bedroom, her eyes went to the phone on the end table. She had to stall him, find a way to call 911. "Put on your bra and panties." He must be a sadistic pervert who got turned on seeing women in their underwear. Maybe that was all he wanted. She yanked open a bureau drawer and pulled out a white push-up bra, snapping it in the front, then turning it around so she could shake her breasts into it. Next, she found a pair of lacy tea-back panties and quickly stepped into them. The assailant was standing perfectly still. The gun fell to his side. She could see his chest rising and falling. She didn't care if he raped her as long as he didn't kill her. Her mother had taught her to imagine the worst thing that could happen, and then everything else would seem insignificant. She wiped her eyes with her hand, then straightened her back. She had to be strong. He might be one of those men who couldn't get an erection unless the woman was submissive. He couldn't rape her without an erection. If he didn't get what he wanted, though, he might kill her. She made the decision. She'd take an aggressive stance and pray he would back down. "Why don't you take off your clothes?" she asked, trying to sound seductive. "Then we can party. I bet you're a better lover than my husband." She forced a smile. Rotten bastard, she thought. You're going to burn in hell. "My husband loves pretty underwear, too. I have drawers full of this kind of stuff. I can model it for you if you want." She grabbed a handful and tossed it in his face, then threw herself in the direction of the phone. The intruder was too fast. She felt him on her back as she slammed face first onto the floor. "Stupid woman," he snarled, grabbing a handful of her hair and pulling hard until her face was visible. "You should have never opened the door to the garage." "Jesus, help me!" Suzanne cried, seeing him pull a plastic-wrapped syringe out of his leather jacket. "What are you going to do